we have been discussing how to see the limitations of this physical body. Because in our life, we always are attached with many things, many people who are related to this physical body. So the sense of dependence, please understand this point. The sense of dependence becomes stronger in me when I discover that someone is taking care of or giving comfort to this physical body. So that means all my attachment or the sense of dependence are related, or you can say depends upon the comfort that I look. If this is the case, the more I am attached to this physical body, the more I am attached to this world. So we have been observing this. Keeping that in mind, Panchamaya Kosha analysis is being done. First came Annamaya Kosha. So the Annamaya Kosha again is nothing but this physical body. And we have seen limitations of it. After Annamaya Kosha comes Pranamaya Kosha, the vital energy. That also we have seen carefully. Here we have been discussing about Manomaya Kosha. So Manomaya Kosha is nothing that we saw in the last class. Gyanendriyani cha manasya manomayasyat. If you look at all our 5 organs of perception and mind is called here as Manomaya Kosha. Now this Manomaya Kosha is something because of which now I am someone is in confusion. That's why beautifully says that the whole world now depends upon this Manomaya Kosha. So when I say whole world, my personal world here. They say beautifully, as your mind, so you see. Or as your mind, I would rather say, so the world exists. They say very nicely in Sanskrit, we say, Drushti Anusare Srushti. Drushtya Srushti. So in keeping with Drushti, there is Srushti. If this is the case, now let us look at, very beautifully says, verse number 169. Nahastya vidya manaso tirikta mano hya vidya bhavavandha hetuhu. Tasmin vinashte sakalam vinashtam. Vijrumbhitesmin sakalam vijrumbhate. Says, if you look at our mind, nahi, first it says, nahi asti avidya, avidya nasti. Means there is no ignorance. Okay, question may have come, how come? You have been talking about ignorance, we have been discussing in details about ignorance, and suddenly you say there is no ignorance. How is it possible? He says, yes. In reality, there is no avidya, there is no ignorance. But manasaha atirikta, remember, apart from the mind. That means if there is ignorance, that is in me. So the ignorance always is in me. And because of that reason, now what happens? Avidya, the ignorance, is bhavavanda hetuhu, is the cause for the bondage of sense of becoming, sense of rebirth. Now please observe this point. So there is nothing called avidya first of all, apart from our mind. And now again, avidya, the ignorance, becomes the cause for sense of becoming, or you can say cause for the bondage of sense of becoming or rebirth. Coming to this world. That means avidya exists in mind. That means again, mind becomes the cause of everything. That's why he says, Tasmin vinashte sakalam vinashtam. Once the mind is destroyed, you can take the literal meaning. If the mind is destroyed, how mind can be destroyed, that we'll see in details later on. So once the mind is being destroyed, or when the mind is being destroyed, everything else is destroyed. And not only that, he says that vijrumbhate asmin sakalam vijrumbhate. So when mind manifests, everything else manifests. What a beautiful point. So when mind manifests, everything manifests. When mind is destroyed, everything is destroyed. How is it possible? How to look at that? He himself gives beautiful example, 2 examples. Let us look at next verse. Swapnertha sunye srujati swasakutya bhoktradi vishvam manayeva sarvam tatheva jagratyapi no visheshaha tatsarvametan manaso vijrumbhanam. He gives a beautiful example of swapna, our dream. What happens in the dream state? Let us look at that point. What exactly happens in dream? So if we observe, in dream there is no physical world. There is no physical objects. In fact, our organs of perception and also organs of actions, both, they don't have any contact with this external world, or you can say physical world. But what happens? Mind alone keeps projecting. Now, when mind starts projecting, there is object of enjoyment, there is object of enjoyer, or you can say experiencer. And the person feels for it, cries for it, runs for it, especially seeing a tiger. Now when this is the case, it says beautifully, when the person wakes up, what happens? That is what is being highlighted here. As it happens with reference to dream state, so also in waking state. Because whatever is in my mind, that only I see. You can say, when you are angry, when you are upset, when you are disturbed, whole world appears accordingly. The way you are, please remember, the way you are, accordingly the whole world appears. Does it happen or not? Just see this point. When you are happy, everybody appears to be happy. When you are unhappy, everybody becomes the source of your unhappiness. Let's look at the next verse. Susuptikale manasi praline naivasti kinchit sakala prasidhe ato mana kalpita eva pumsaha samsara etasya na vastutosmi. Made a mistake. Samsara etasya na vastutosti. Gives another example. Susupti kale manasi praline. What happens during deep sleep? If we observe our deep sleep, now mind is no more. Manasi praline. Now mind is being recalled back. Mind is reduced to the causal state. It has gone to the causal state. That's why in a dormant form. Then what happens? Nothing is existing for me. Now I don't experience anything. That's why happily I say, oh, I had a very good sleep. Sometimes I say, I had a sound sleep. Means I slept well, but I made sound. Others were disturbed, but I did not know what I did. So that means the relative world, what I see, ato mana kalpita eva pumsa. So that means in my dream, the world is being projected. In my sleep, world does not exist. That means whatever world I see, it's nothing but it's my own projection. Please understand. Because we need to look at very carefully. Our mind is something, is the creator or the cause of all sort of confusion, and also the mind is the cause of all sort of solution. So the possibility is there in me that when there is a confusion, also same possibility is there in my mind, it can resolve. It depends upon how I look at. That is the most important point. How I look at. So if I look at it carefully, if I know how to handle, how to really handle it, I am sure there will be not a problem at all. How? He says, beautifully, gives an example of wind. We'll see how this example is relevant in our next class. Thank you very much. Please close your eyes.